The Holy Gospel as it is recorded in Matthew. When Jesus heard that John had been arrested, he went back to Galilee. He left Nazareth and settled in Capernaum, a lakeside town near the territory of Zebulun and Naphtali. In this way, the prophecy of Isaiah was fulfilled. Land of Zebulun and land of Naphtali, the way of the sea on the far side of the Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. The people who lived in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. From that time on, Jesus began proclaiming the message, "Change your hearts and your minds, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." As Jesus was walking along the Sea of Galilee, he watched two brothers, Simon, who was called Peter, and Andrew, casting a net into the sea. They fished by trade. Jesus said to them, "Come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of people." They immediately abandoned their nets and began to follow Jesus. Jesus walked along further and caught sight of a second pair of brothers, James and John, ben Zebedee. They too were in their boat, mending their nets with their father. Jesus called them, and immediately they abandoned their boat and their father, and they followed Jesus. Jesus traveled throughout Galilee, teaching in the synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom of heaven, and healing all kinds of diseases and sicknesses among the people. The gospel of Christ. Please be seated. So whenever I come across Jesus' words, "Follow me," I can't help but hear my nanny speaking to me. Nanny was from Belfast, and whenever we got into a tough spot, Nanny would laugh and say, "Follow me. I'm right behind you." Now, like many Irish sayings, on the surface it sounds a little ridiculous and yes, even laughable. How can I follow you if you're behind me? It doesn't really make any sense. And then the penny drops and you realize that all the really good leaders, they always have your back. So fellow followers of the way, what does it mean for us to respond to Jesus' invitation to follow him? "Come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of people." For generations, this invitation has been interpreted by the church as a kind of mission. Jesus wants you to go out there into the world, and Jesus wants you to fish for people. There's plenty of fish out there in the world. So let's go out there and get them. Hook them. Get them, hook, line, and sinker. And then let's reel them in here. Let's fill this place up with all those fish. Let's fill up the nets so that the church will be full to overflowing. As my nanny would say, "Ach, Jesus. Ach, Jesus, if only it were that simple." Some of us, well, we're of an age where we can remember hordes of little children, standing up in front of the congregation and casting those imaginary fishing rods, and then reeling them in and singing that song. Help me, because I can't sing, right? You know that thing? "I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men, fishers of men. I will make you fishers of men if you follow me." See? We've got it, right? If you follow me. Oh, Jesus. What are we doing wrong, Jesus? Come on, Jesus. How about it? Won't you lead us back to those good old days? Those good old days when the churches were full, overflowing, If only we could point Jesus in the right direction. It certainly would make following Jesus easier if only Jesus would lead us where we want to go. Trouble is, Jesus never was much interested in taking people where they wanted to go. Take poor old Andrew and Peter, for example, professional fishers struggling to make a living at their trade. Jesus, we are told, wanders along by the lakeshore, sees them casting their nets into the Sea of Galilee, and he says, "Follow me and I will make you fishers of people." What possessed them to change their profession, chuck in their nets, and then follow Jesus? Farther along the shore, more fishers are called upon, a pair of brothers, James and John, Zebedee's boys. Jesus calls them, and they too, they abandon their boat and they abandon their father to follow Jesus. And you know, there's got to be more to the story than meets the eye. They can't just have downed tools and followed Jesus just because he said, "Follow me." If it were as simple as it looks or sounds on the surface, surely we too could figure out how to reel him in, just like Jesus did. Maybe there's more to this fishing metaphor than meets the eye. Jesus called them, and immediately they abandoned both boat and father to follow Jesus. Jesus traveled throughout Galilee, teaching in the synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom of heaven, and healing all kinds of diseases and sicknesses among the people. Basileus Uranus. Basileia, the Greek feminine noun for sovereignty, traditionally translated as kingdom or dominion or empire. Uranus means sky or heaven, but it's also the name of the father of the Greek gods, in Latin, Uranus. In Greek mythology, Uranus was the one who was the instigator, the primary reality, who, with his wife, who was called Gaia, or Earth, they brought forth all the creatures. The creative Father Spirit imagined to exist in the sort of ether of the sky, this Uranus, somewhere out there, remote from earthly life, yet very much involved in it. And the cosmos began when these two realities, the earth and the sky, the mother and the father, generate all life forms on the earth. The Basileia Uranus points followers of Jesus beyond the confines of empire, beyond the Roman Empire, to the realm of the creator of all that is. Follow me, I'm right behind you. Follow me. Don't worry about the power of the Roman Empire. Life is bigger than the power of Rome. Follow me, and you will see beyond Rome's power to confine your life. And when we peer beyond the surface of the words, we can see the signs of the times. Life upon the Sea of Galilee was locked up by the power of the Roman Empire. The Romans had the power to tax a fisher beyond that fisher's ability to pay. Catch a great catch? You can keep a few, give the rest to Rome. The fishers on the Sea of Galilee were indentured, some say indentured Roman slaves. Jesus invites the oppressed fishers to abandon their servitude and to become fishers of people. Where we see potential converts, Jesus calls us to look beyond our immediate needs to something so much more than filling sanctuaries on a Sunday morning. Jesus is pointing us to the Basileia Uranus, beyond our wildest dreams, to the realm of the creator of all that is. Jesus uses a metaphor, an image that directs the oppressed beyond the words. An observant Jew as these fishers were, Andrew and Peter, James and John, these observant Jews, they would have understood exactly how the prophets like Amos and Ezekiel used the metaphor of hooking a fish in relationship to catching humans as a euphemism to bring judgment upon the rich, the wealthy, the elites who were oppressing the people. Jesus was inviting the disenfranchised fishers to follow him, to learn how to hook a fish in the struggle to overturn the existing order of power and privilege. Hooking fish was a metaphor for seeking justice. And these fishers, they heard this call to seek justice. And Jesus led his followers throughout Galilee, teaching in the synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the existence of a new kind of basileia, Uranus, the realm of the creator of all, a kingdom beyond the powers of empire, a realm in which healing and compassion create the kind of peace in which no one is oppressed, because greed and self-centeredness and violence gives way to justice for all. Follow me. Abandon your boats. These fishers heard this call. They were ready for this call. They were waiting for this call. They were longing for this call. And so they downed tools and they followed Jesus. Jesus invites his followers to seek justice for the oppressed, the disenfranchised, the persecuted, the poor. Follow me, and together we shall turn the world upside down. What fishes need to be hooked in our day? What systems do we need to see beyond in order to usher in the realm of the one who is the creator of all? Do we have our sights set upon too small an endeavor? Are we inviting people to follow Jesus into the church? Or are we inviting people to follow Jesus and to turn the world upside down? Can we see beyond the way things are and imagine how things may become when healing and compassion are the hooks we use to usher in the basileia of the creator of all, who is the love that we call God? Are we prepared to hook a fish or two? Or maybe we should begin by asking ourselves, are we prepared to be hooked? Are we prepared to follow Jesus? Are we prepared to follow, trusting that Jesus is right behind us? For surely in one another we can see the power of the Christ alive in, with, through, and beyond us, moving us toward the kingdom of the creator of all that is and ever shall be. Unlike fishing, which can be a solitary endeavor, following Jesus happens in community, a community which has our back. Following Jesus, knowing that Jesus is behind us. This is the kind of invitation our world is hungry for. Following Jesus as together we build a new kind of kingdom, a new kind of community, a new way of being in the world, where compassion leads to justice and justice leads to peace. Now for that, surely we can leave our concerns for these small boats behind and follow the one who leads us beyond the beyond and beyond that also. As together we usher in this new kingdom, this new way of being in the world, this new community of the one who is our lover, beloved, and love itself. Follow Jesus, trusting that we are all behind you. This community, this body of Christ. Be prepared to follow Jesus, trusting that we are all behind you.